There was a time when Africa stood tall on its own terms, when its leaders spoke not with fear, but with fire for freedom, dignity, and truth. One of those voices was Thomas Sankara, the Burkina Faso president who dared to tell Africa, "We must live the African way. That is the only way to live free and with dignity." Today, another son of Burkina Faso is walking that road. His name is Ibrahim Traoré, and he's not alone. In his words, in his choices, in his courage, many see in Traoré the echo of Sankara. Like Sankara, he speaks of food sovereignty, of self-reliance, of building with what we have. Like Sankara, he rejects dependency and demands that Africa think for itself. But this is not imitation. It is continuation. The same root producing new branches. When the war in Ukraine started, African countries found themselves begging for wheat, stranded between foreign conflicts and foreign supply chains. Prices soared, ships stopped, and the truth became impossible to ignore. We cannot depend on others to feed our people. Ibrahim Traoré responded with clarity. He began putting tractors in the hands of farmers and calling youth back to the land. Because freedom does not begin with flags or speeches. It begins with food sovereignty. If we cannot eat what we grow, we will always beg to survive. Across Burkina Faso, seeds are being planted not just in the soil, but in the minds of a generation determined never to starve again. For decades, Africa has been rich in gold, cotton, and shea butter, but also in oil, diamond, coltan from Congo, rubber, hevea, cocoa, copper, bauxite, sapphire, iron ore, uranium, and more. How can we be this wealthy and still depend on others for basic needs? Ibrahim Traoré is challenging that model. He is investing in local industries, in factories that process what we produce, in a future where Africa no longer sends away its riches, only to buy them back as finished goods. Because the key to freedom is not just in owning resources, it's in transforming them at home. That is how we rise, by owning our worth. In Mali, Assimi Goïta has done the same. In Niger, Abdourahmane Tiani too. These three men have rejected foreign control and called for a new direction, a region that protects itself, feeds itself, educates its children, and writes its own future. Together, they formed the Alliance of Sahel States, not as rebels, but as rebuilders. Their message is clear. Africa must walk on its own feet, defend its own lands, and believe in its own voice. Our freedom is not complete until we grow what we eat, transform our raw materials, build our industries, educate with truth, not colonial lies, speak our languages with pride, free ourselves from debt, create our own currency, defend our borders, and connect Africa to Africa with roads, rails, hospitals, and research centers. True independence means unity, dignity, and vision. Ibrahim Traoré is not the first to rise, and he will not be the last. But he represents something powerful, a reminder that Africa's greatness was never lost, only silenced. Today, we must rise not in rebellion, but in restoration. And just like the Baobab, Africa's roots run deep. Now, it's time for those roots to bear fruit. This is the Baobab Within, rooted in truth, rising in power.